he judged me based on me. So you might be in a bad situation. I mean, I'm working in a steel mill with everyone around you. If you're working in a steel mill, it ain't the best job in the world. You probably did something wrong in your life to have to be working in a steel mill. You probably got yours in the military. Well, the other way people can go is go apply for an internship with CIA, FBI, or NSA. Because I'm a handshake guy. I want to work with somebody. I don't want to let them down. They don't want to let me down. And
Right.
that's why I personally like working with family and friends. Because, like my mom, she ain't going to let me down. She would rather die than not honor what she said she was going to do. So eventually, you start off wearing like 10 hats. And then if you grow the right way and you work your butt off, because I was, man, we were working 80 hours a week for the first 2 years. No question. We had you wearing those hats.
Because it wasn't $1,000 you were saying.
Yeah.
You said $1 million. And so I can see a Crimson Phoenix movie, man. I can see a movie. That's a good movie name, man. I can see a whole movie about your story. I think it's dope. I think it's dope.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's powerful.
What's your forte?
The Forte podcast. Yes, it's just not like a normal business podcast. It's the only podcast with the intention of bringing its guests to you in person at a network event, the Forte Experience. So tune in, listen, watch, and glean from my guests so this way you can figure out who you want to meet in person. The Forte podcast. Like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at the Forte Community. Let's go.
Welcome to the Forte podcast. I am your co-host, Dominic Epps.
And I'm your co-host, Randall Monfiston.
And we are here once again to dive into your lane of greatness, to discover what comes easy for you that may not be easy for all others.
Everyone's a genius, from the 9-to-5 employee to the Fortune 500 billionaire. We're here to highlight those attributes through dialogue and interviews with amazing guests.
Absolutely. And once again, today on this episode, we have another amazing guest. But here's my question. What's your forte?
What's your forte?
Let's go, man.
Oh, man. What's up? What's up?
What's up? What's good? Bro, it feels like Friday. Feels like Friday.
What? For real?
It does.
It's been a long week already?
No, I wouldn't say it just feels like Friday. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Maybe, I know what it is. We had a week off. We had a week off. So that's something.
Okay.
Yeah, because last week, if we would have recorded, y'all probably would have. I would have been blooper ready all last week.
Okay.
I would have been like, welcome to the Forte podcast.
Maybe we should have recorded that.
Oh, man.
That'd be good content.
Good. Yeah, okay. That's what you want to call it. Well, bro, how was your week, man? How was your weekend? How was everything?
Weekend was good. Ma and the fam came in. Well, there was a family graduation barbecue, although it wasn't like a normal barbecue. They had a full catering service, so it was like a barbecue on 10. Like they had, normally you think of a barbecue, hot dogs, hamburgers. It was rice and beans, lasagna, potato. I was like, man, they doing it up. Tent outside and everything.
Was this a Juneteenth celebration?
No. It was one of my family members, their kids. They had actually dual graduation. One graduated with the masters, another graduated with the bachelor's within like
hold on. Let's not fly past that.
What's up?
Go ahead. Let's go ahead and give him a round of applause.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's dope. Yeah. Okay.
Fans had a big moment this month.
Yeah, that's good, man. I forgot to ask, since we didn't record less. How was Father's Day? And happy birthday,
Father's Day was cool. I just relaxed, chill, got FaceTime from Landon in his bonnet. I don't know what's going on with this youth.
Nephew is not wearing no bonnet, bro. Please don't tell me that.
I want to do this, and I'm gonna show you. I thought about posting it, but I'm about to show it to you right now. Let me show you.
No, bro. Nah, don't even do that, man. That's not even
I am gonna do it. Because he trolled me on Father's Day.
Nephew is not wearing a pink bonnet at that. What we doing?
Yeah. Like, what are you doing? Like, what's happening right now? He said he's trying to get some locks, and I guess the regular wave cap is not holding it down. So his mom gave him a bonnet. I'm like, all right,
So
all right.
so so let me say this, man. When I grew my hair out in school, I
Yeah.
tried to have my hair locked. I used to have straight hair. Believe it or not. Okay, shouts out to my pops. I got it from him. Good hair, a good grade of hair is what they would say, and it wouldn't lock, man. I remember putting beeswax and everything, trying to twist it in school all day long, and it wouldn't lock. But if I'd have went to a professional, I'm sure it would have. But never thought about wearing a bonnet. So let me just put that out there. Never thought about that. No
Yeah,
shade to those of you that do, guys. Um,
got you.
I just never thought that was something I would, participate in. So Father's Day for me was fantastic, man. It was truly amazing. Started off with church service at Change Church. It was, bro. I, I wish I could show everyone how dope the setup was. Like when you walk into the foyer, bro, it looked like a barbershop. So he had people was getting haircuts. It was,
Oh,
I mean, it was dope, man. Then they had a panel of men discussion. So that was great. Shouts out to Pastor Darius Daniels for that. And then after service, man, we grabbed something quick to eat. I don't know what we went to. Man, it was somewhere quick. And then we went and me, Queen, the girls. DJ didn't get his done, but he went to. We all went to get pedicures, manicures. So that was dope.
oh,
Um,
that's.
and then me and Queen later that evening went out to a jazz, trap jazz.
I think I seen that post.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was dope, super dope. So it was man. I really felt good. I'm like, yo, I felt appreciated. I felt appreciated.
That's what's up, man. As you should. As you should.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was watching some video where they say Day is ranked like in like the teens, and like if you had to rank all holidays,
I
Father's Day
believe.
is like in the teens somewhere.
I
So
believe it.
yeah,
I believe it. We probably behind. Just think about every event that's before us, though. Like, of course, there's
yeah.
Christmas, there's Thanksgiving, right? There's Easter, uh,
Mm-hmm.
Mother's Day. Those four is to be understood.
Mm-hmm.
I get those four. Those four, I get it. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Mother's Day, and Easter. I get those four for a fact, and then I can probably throw. I'm gonna go ahead and throw Juneteenth and 4th of July. So those six.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I'm not even mad at you for that. But what else we talking? If we're in the teens, what are we talking? What else? Are we talking Halloween?
Yeah, I think Halloween was in there. Not
Okay.
not Halloween. It was something else. It was
Um,
yeah, I forgot, but we were in the teens. Yeah, it
St.
was like
Patrick's Day.
9, like, and it would vary year
Okay.
by year what I looked like, but it was like
Yeah.
9 to 13, something like that.
All right. Well, needless to say, it doesn't matter, man. It was a great celebration.
Yeah,
Enjoyed it and got back to the grind on Monday. That's just how it works. It is.
got you,
It is.
got you.
But my fingers still looking good right now. So that's
All
cool.
right,
All right, man.
all
So
right.
today, bro, who do we have coming on today? We have another fire episode. So who do we have the pleasure of being a Forte today on the show?
Yeah. So as you viewers, listeners already know, I work a 9 to 5 and I do my business on the side, entrepreneur wise. So I've been honored with the opportunity to bring to the stage, bring to the podcast, the owner of the company or part owner of the company that I work for, Crimson Phoenix. So I'm gonna have Tyler come off a mic and tell everyone what's your forte.
Hey, man, first off, I'm humbled, man. I'm not worthy to be here, man. I love what y'all are doing. What a blessing, man, for y'all to have this platform for everybody. But man, my forte is Crimson Phoenix at this point, defense contracting, but using that more as a vessel to try and give back to other people, family, friends, other people in the community. But as the main forte, do business, but do business for the right reasons. And for us, Crimson Phoenix is a vessel that we try and use to serve others. Um, in a field that, Randall, you probably know, in the IC and DoD, man, it can be cutthroat sometimes. So we just try and shine that light to the best of our abilities in the community that we're in.
That's dope.
Man. Yeah, man. And I could truly contest, man, like the culture that y'all built from day one. So this is my first regular, I would say, adult job outside of military. I retired from military and rolled right into Crimson Phoenix. And I feel like red carpet service I've experienced from day one to now. So my hats off to y'all for the culture that y'all built and what y'all creating. And yeah, um, I enjoy it. So what we want to do and how we normally start off with is kind of tell us what your childhood was like trying to walk us through the stage of what you were like as a child and any of those things as in your adolescence that may influence you getting to the point where you want to decide to create your own federal contracting company.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I grew up. I have three brothers. Pretty much a single mom. My dad was pretty much in and out of jail my whole life. And we pretty much played a little game growing up called Dodge the Eviction Notice. So we tried to get out before the eviction notice hit, and then spent a lot of time just growing up poor, working hard, usually living between Section 7 and Section 9 and Section 8. Thank the government for good programs like that to help people get out. But my motivation was always built on outwork everybody, do the best you can to help people, and everything else will come to you tenfold. And for me, part of that was just give back to the family at some point. For myself, I'm the only person in my family to graduate high school, let alone college. So I
Wow.
took the pressure on myself to be the one that's trying to deliver my family out of this whole era of poverty and try and show my
Mm.
nephews and my nieces that this ain't the way life is. It can be like this. So just a lot of pressure as the youngest, and I feel like I've done my best to deliver, and it's been a blessing in that sense.
I want to
Man.
mention that. I want to mention you said something, Tyler. You said you are, is it the first to graduate high school in your family?
First to graduate high school, let alone college, man. So my mom didn't graduate, even though she did go back to college. She's really proud about that. My dad didn't graduate high school. And my three other brothers did not graduate high school.
So, okay, when it comes to your brothers, are you the youngest, the middle? So you're the
Yeah,
youngest,
I'm
right?
the youngest.
All right. So was it a situation where your brothers just dropped out of school to help support the family, right? Or it was just other reasons that they were just probably following the footsteps of your father as to why they didn't finish school?
Man, to get back to what you said about Father's Day, there's a really important thing about having a good male model in your life, and it don't have to be your biological father. For me, I had coaches, my high school principal, that were always great male mentors, and I think for my brothers, they maybe were missing that male mentor, and I think that really was the difference, is not having that strong male mentor in their lives.
Gotcha.
So who did you glean from, right? Like you had male mentors. Were any of those male mentors entrepreneurs? Like what kind of backgrounds did they have? And did any of those backgrounds help you and where you at today?
I kind of like pick a little bit from everything. So my high
Mhm.
school principal, he really taught me discipline and holding yourself accountable. He taught me if you mess up, that's okay. Just take ownership and take accountability. So I earned that piece from him. And then this whole story about Crimson Phoenix, I'll give you the quick backdrop. I have two partners. One is Brad Becker, the other is Phil Hubble. Well, Phil Hubble owned a company that did industrial cleaning inside a steel mill in Ohio. At one point, my dad and two of my brothers worked for Phil. I'd go there after football 2 days, and even in the summer, and I was working part time with Phil at his company. And I was only 15, 16 at the time, but Phil and I had developed a mentor mentee relationship, which eventually grew into a friendship. So I came out to DC in 2011 and started doing defense contracting. Around 2014 through 16, Phil and I would pitch around the idea of, man, that sounds pretty cool what you are doing out there. I'd be interested in doing that at some point. So in 2018, I'm sitting on my couch, man. I'm like, I want to start my own thing. I write down the name, Crimson Phoenix. I start writing down what I need. Well, you need about $1 million to start a company in defense contracting. So my first call was to Phil. I said, Phil, if you're interested, I'm not mature enough or seasoned enough yet to be the CEO. I would want you to be CEO, and what it's going to take is $1 million. And he didn't blink. He's like, let's do it. And
Man.
then
Wow. Hold on, Tyler. Hold on, Tyler. Hold on.
Like yeah,
Hold on.
his
Yeah.
that's a prime example of having the right people in your network, because then you're able to then have your dreams come true. And I'm gonna even take this even further. That's why you need to come to the Forte experience to be able to be in a space to meet people such as Tyler, such as people like Phil,
Yeah.
such as other people that we've had on this podcast that are guests who are thriving, right? Not only from their knowledge, but then for also capital to be able to have your dream come true, just like Tyler just shared. So
And,
yeah, man, that's dope. That's dope.
let me say this, man. Randall, I hope you're listening because he just talked about how he just raised $1 million in capital
Here we go.
over one phone call. But we'll get back to that. So Tyler, did you stutter? Did you blink? Or were you very confident when you said this is how much it's gonna cost? Or was you kind of nervous to present that number to him? Like, what gave you the confidence? Because it wasn't $1,000 you were saying.
Yeah.
You said $1 million. And
Yeah.
so you pretty much had to say, listen, I'll make you CEO. You basically had an evaluation on paper of it had to be at least 2 million for you to even say $1 million that you know. So
Yeah.
what gave you the audacity to ask for $1 million?
That is a great question. So, at one point, when I wrote down my business plan, I knew in my mind, even though we had no employees, no contracts, we weren't even in existence yet, I knew where we were going to be. I knew what the vision was. And I shared that vision with Phil. Was I nervous, to be frank, man? Honestly, I wasn't. I know Phil knows my character. We've known each other a long time. And I knew no matter what I shared with him, he knew it would be coming from a place of truth.
Mm.
And my belief system was going to be accurate. And Phil's a very, very well sound businessman. He's owned and sold and operated multiple businesses. So he knew that the business plan was bulletproof. And the thing that he liked is I said, look, man, I won't take a paycheck. I will work for free until the company starts generating revenue. So for the first 6 months, I had no paycheck, no nothing. My blood, sweat, and tears was the exchange. And Phil says that's what sold him on it. He said, when you were willing to sacrifice and give something up to do this, I just knew.
Yeah.
And
Man,
there was
I
nothing
want
to think.
Tyler, real quick, I don't want to interrupt, but I want our listeners, our day one listeners who've been listening to episode 1 to the episode now, right? There's been a common theme that a lot of the entrepreneurs have been sharing that they've done something for free to be able to get to where they want to be at their current stage in their journey. So again, this is another one. They just hitting a nail in the coffin, just even further to further affirm that sometimes you just got to do it for free. Get your name out there, get your experience, get your resume up, and then the money will come.
And it wasn't just free. He was willing to share, to give up equity of the company.
Yeah.
So he was willing to give up equity and basically work on the vision without receiving a check, right? That's sacrifice. So here's my question, Tyler. Did you have a 9 to 5? Like, how were you able to supplement your bills? And did you have a family at the time? Because to make a 6 month, you probably didn't know it was going to take 6 months. You probably was prepared if it was going to take a year, right?
Yeah.
But just the fact of making that commitment, were there other means of income coming in that allowed you to make that commitment? Or were you just living off of 401k money and just saying, listen, when this runs out, it is what it is?
Now, the next piece of information I'm about to share with you, I do not recommend. I do not advertise. I have a delusional sense of self belief and confidence, so I just knew it was going to work out. My solution was at the time I had really good credit, and I just maxed out all my credit cards, maxed out my credit lines. I put myself $90,000 in debt, and
Hmm.
at the time I'm just looking like, man, just keep pushing forward, keep pushing forward. And eventually we hit that point, but I just went in massive debt to help kind of fund my dream and just like kind of like bet on myself was my mentality. I rolled the dice and bet on myself because if it didn't work out, I don't know how I was going to pay that 90 grand off. Like,
So so
Hmm.
so so here's my question to our listeners and those of you watching. How many of you are willing to bet on yourself? Literally, bet on yourself. As Tyler said, he's not saying go out there and max out your credit cards, right? But how many of you are willing to put yourself in a situation where you're sacrificing. You're sacrificing the time of enjoying, an evening with friends, or we've had some that talked about how they didn't go out to the club and to the other places because they were so focused, and they were tunnel focus on what they wanted to do, right? And so here it is. You was like, listen, this is gonna work. There is no plan B. Now, I'm not sure the story of the captain that burned the ships, if it's true, but it's a good story. They talked about how they go to war and he burnt the ships and said, either we're going to win or we're going to die, but we are not going to retreat. We're not going to be able to go back, right? Some say it's fiction, some say it's not. Who cares? It's a good story, right? But what Tyler was basically saying was he put himself in a position, and here's $1 million on the line. So his relationship with his business partner is also on the line. So it's not just about, the money aspect, but this is relationship. This is trust, right? And for someone to put up $1 million, it speaks a lot about them trusting in you being the leader that he was able to look at and say, I believe you, right? And I believe that you're going to be able to pull this through. So that's, man, kudos, man. Kudos to your partner. That's dope.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
I said the cool
yeah.
thing about Phil, man, he had no reason to want to believe in me. Like there was times where he's bailing my dad out of jail, and I'm the son of that same man that it'd be 3 in the morning, and Phil's the nicest man ever, the best boss. My dad had a bit of a drinking problem. Phil be getting texted at 3 in the morning from my dad, just drunk text out of the blue. He goes to work the next day all embarrassed. I'm sorry, Phil. And Phil did not judge me based on my brothers, based on my father. He judged me based on me. So you might be in a bad situation. I mean, I'm working in a steel mill with everyone around you. If you're working in a steel mill, it ain't the best job in the world. You probably did something wrong in your life to have to be working in a steel mill. And those were the guys I was with. And Phil, just out of all those people, he said, you know what, I believe in this guy. And he's been treating me like that since I was 16 years old, and it really paid off in the end. That was never the intention, though. He never thought, man, this guy's going to own a business one day. He just wanted to see me graduate school. My plan was to be a teacher and coach football. I went a different direction, but it just took years of building that trust. So never doubt that you can be that person based on your circumstances around you. I mean, I've lived in a homeless shelter. My family lived in homeless shelters. You don't know who that person is next to you. They could be somebody. So, man, just treat them right, give back to them, and you never know. It could eventually and should pay off.
Man. Randall, I know you want to say something. I just want to add one thing, though, because it reminds me of Mr. Clifton Winborn. This was my mentor. This was the guy. He was a deacon in my church. He was the one that, when I was a kid, my dad was incarcerated too, right? But he was the one that, pick me up, take me around. But when I got older, right, and we reconnected, he was the one that taught me about investing in real estate. And I never forget when my very first flip got my partners together, and I didn't have, we all had to put up a certain amount of money, and I didn't have it, right? And he loaned me my very first, I think it was $6,000. $6,000, and it was his property that he had just recently purchased. He said, listen, I'm going to let you all get this, and this can be a first start, right? And so what he saw in me was total opposite of what he saw in my father. The total opposite, right? And he had daughters. He didn't have any sons, right? But he treated me as his own son, right? And so I understand how that dynamic can be when you have someone who believes in you, right? And more importantly, they want to see you succeed because they know the hell you went through. And it's like, listen, I'm willing to sacrifice or to, establish a good relationship with this young man because I don't want him to go down what I've seen his father and his siblings do. So kudos to you, Phil. That's dope. That's
Amen,
dope.
brother. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen to your man.
Yeah,
That's
man.
awesome.
Yeah. Randall,
Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of times we talk about success stories, right? And you kind of share like the downfall or the sacrifice you made. For those who are trying to get into the federal contract space, Instagram, social media could give you all the glam and glit. So those first 6 months, aside from you struggling with the maxing out credit cards, what are some of the hurdles? How many no's? Like, tell us the story of how did you get the first contract? What were the hurdles to get to that first contract? Is kind of what I'm trying to get the story to share with the people.
Yeah, so we opened our doors January 2019. It was Brad Becker and I, in Reston, Virginia, and it's just Brad and I. We have no contracts, and we just got old school, man. We wrote down 150 people's names that we had worked with in the past that we had relationships with, and we just set as many meetings as possible. So fast forward to around February, into February, we've gone on so many meetings. I'm like, I feel like Walt Disney when he kept getting turned down by the banks. To your point, there are so many no's, and I got to give credit to Brad. The one meeting I did not attend, and I'm kicking myself to this day I didn't attend this meeting. It was with somebody named Marnie Jo Lessa at Booz Allen Hamilton. She met with Brad and she agreed to finally add us to a program, which ironically is supporting the customer and contract you currently support, Randall. That was our first actual contract, and it came from
Hmm.
probably 100 plus meetings, and it came from Brad Becker not giving up because I couldn't make the meeting that day, and Brad could have said, you know what, we'll reschedule. Brad said, no, we can't reschedule or miss any meetings. I got it covered. And then Brad went and got us our first contract. And then from there, we did such a good job with Booz Allen in the beginning. Booz Allen just kept referring us to everybody within Booz Allen. And Booz Allen really is kind of like the main company that helped Crimson Phoenix grow. And they've been just a wonderful partner to us on so many different contracts. As a partner, I can't say enough good things about Booz Allen Hamilton. They treat their partners very well.
Wow, man,
That's
I can see a Crimson Phoenix movie, man. I can see a movie. That's a good movie name, man. I can see a whole movie about your story. 'Cause I think it's dope. I think it's
it's
dope.
powerful,
Yeah,
powerful, man.
yeah,
Yeah, it's powerful.
yeah. So
Yeah, like you
I have a
really
question. No, go ahead,
go ahead.
Ray. Go ahead.
No, I was just like really you was going through the trenches, like literally as a child, as in like struggling with the business, right? All the no's, like you kept on dealing with the hill, like you never stopped, like you kept on going up the hill. Although that one day you might have missed the meeting, but you kept on going, right? So, and then you had to do the other meetings thereafter to keep the company going, even though you got that one contract. So, yeah, kudos to you, and Brad, like all of y'all, like y'all just kept on grinding, and that's just a representation of what an entrepreneur. That's what success looks like. Is
Absolutely.
a whole bunch of failures before you get to the success. A whole bunch.
Lessons, a whole bunch of
Yeah.
lessons. So I think I know the answer, but I want to ask this question. So, what was your why? What was your big why?
My why for me in the beginning, as far as the main why for me was I didn't want to let Phil down on the micro level. Phil gave me his money and I gave him my award. That was more important to me than anything. But the bigger why, like why go be an entrepreneur, why not be a football coach and teach, which is what I was planning to do. I had to be that person that could get my family out of poverty. I had to keep hitting those milestones for my family. First one to graduate high school, first one to graduate college, first one to make over six figures. I wanted people in my family to believe you could make over seven figures if you want. You just got to put the time in. As long as you got the work ethic and attitude and you're willing to grind, man, why not? Is the real question. Whatever your why is, why not is my rebuttal to that.
Yeah, and I knew family was the answer. I just wanted to to kind of hear you say it so everybody else can really hear it, right? I know for me it was my mom. It started out with my mom. It started out wanting to move my mom out of the hood per se, right? Um,
Amen.
she was my motivation. She was my motivation. She was the one that took us to these big houses and would have us dream, pointing out the car saying that's my house one day, that's my house one day, right? And then we go back and we're living in this roach infested 3-bedroom apartment. Um, at the time, it was 9 of us in that apartment, right? But for 20 minutes, she would take us out of that environment, away from the gunshots and the police sirens, and allow us to just dream. And I had no idea back then that I was going to do real estate. I wanted to do music. So I had no idea. She would get this real estate book and, look at the houses, and then she'd take us to a community and just say, y'all point out which house y'all want. Just have a dream, right? But my mom made sacrifices. So when you talked about coaches, right? I never forget my senior night football. Senior night, while my friends and my teammates, they had their parents walking them across the field. I had no one. Listen, no one. My coach, I'm standing there and I'm just hoping like somebody's going to show up. And needless to say, my coach, this big old white man, he grabbed my arm. He looked at me and said, come on. Right? And Coach Woods, I never forget that guy, man. Never forget that guy. So, but I had to understand, hey, my mom had to work.
Yep.
Right? She had to take care of these boys, right? She had to work. So for you to establish a why and say, listen, one, I don't want to let Phil down, but also I want to break a generational curse. I want to establish something that's going to be able to benefit generations to come. And not just your family, but Brando and his family and other families. So now I want to get into employees, right? How was it when you all started a business? Of course, you're working it, Phil's working it, the other partner's working it. What was the process like when you all started adding employees to the company?
That's a good question. The process was we wanted to grow, but we did not want to grow so fast that we couldn't have the attitude of service to our employees. My mentality in the very beginning was I want to know all the employees' names. I want to know their families. I want to have a personal relationship with them. I want them to know they can call me any time or day if they need something. And it was important for me as we grew, and we grew rather quickly, we had to maintain the idea that we are here to serve. We may be, I guess, the boss, but that's not my mentality. It's not Phil's mentality. It's not Brad's mentality. For our employees, it has to be able to maintain the level that we are truly here to serve.
Wow.
So, do you feel like that separates, that puts you apart from other defense contract companies, right? Like, because it's the employees that make the business, right? The employees doing well, interacting with the clients and all of that. So, do you feel like creating that family-like culture helps create loyalty, right? Because you want to make sure that people stay on contract, but then
Yeah.
two, making sure that they show up to be the best that they can be for the client that they're providing service for.
Yeah, I think that really is the case. It helped us, it allowed us to create a culture and really put the employees first. For example, Brad, Phil, and myself, even to this day, are the three lowest paid employees within the company, or pretty darn close to it. So our mentality is we're going to take a low salary and we're going to use every opportunity that we can to give back to our employees. It allows for our employees to have better benefits. It allows for our employees to have more competitive PTO. A lot of Crimson Phoenix employees, for someone that might work in the same position, but the person next to him is with a different company, there's a good chance the Crimson Phoenix person's paid higher because we are doing less on the back end. So it just gives you flexibility to actually be able to give back to the employees when you kind of carry that mentality.
That's good. That's good. So here's a question I have, man. Not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but did you hire any family members?
I'm very incestual. Like on my internal team, man, anybody I knew that like just maybe had a bad break or they needed an opportunity, I got like 10 of those folks on our internal team. And directly, my mom actually works for us as a recruiter. So she's a recruiter.
Wow.
She does her
Wow.
job, man. She works her butt off. Like even before I got on this call, we have a delivery team that does recruiting and staffing of 15. She's the only one at 8 p.m. Working, like sending messages to the group. Hey, I'm looking for somebody with a polygraph, but she's grinding like that every single night. And I got friends like that I grew up with back in Cincinnati, Ohio, that I brought in to the company with me as well. And they're the same, man. They're just grinders.
Wow, man. So you kind of that's amazing, by the way, because there are people that if we ask that question, they would say no. I said, no, I'm separating family from business, right? Now, I can honestly say that my sister have been working for me, not for me, I'm gonna say with me. Like, she's the only sibling I have that, like, ride or die, she's with me in whatever I'm doing, right? But man, you got your mom working, man, she has to be proud to to just look at you and say, "Wow, son, look at what you have become and what you have established," um, and that's amazing, man. And I think that's really what life is all about. Is not just about because I heard it seeing you have said this word so many times just on this call about service and serving, right? And which speaks to a lot of our guests. We had once, what is Chris Hart? So what is this? Sold out,
Sold out serving.
right? So we've had so many different people, and all of you are saying the exact same thing, and you have this common denominator in serving and understanding how powerful that is. If you're going to be successful, if you're going to build a successful team, you must be willing to serve, and that, my friend, is a great attribute. I think is a prerequisite for anybody who's looking to be successful. So kudos, man. Kudos.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
actually. Go ahead, Randall.
Nah, you was about to say, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just saying, when we first started our internal team, which like does the staffing operations, we based our entire philosophy on a book that Tony Dungy wrote. Tony Dungy used to be a successful football coach. It's called Soul of the Team: Selflessness, Own Your Role, Unity, Larger Purpose. And we identified what those four things were for us, and we brought in people that fit our culture, that I could identify with being selfless, owning your role, understanding unity, and understanding larger purpose. And that was kind of like our heartbeat and our philosophy. And we've grown that now from one employee, now we're 400 plus, and we're still trying our best to maintain that same mentality.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
All
good.
right, so that's you segue to a good point. You said you went from 100 to 400 now, right? What are some of the pitfalls that you will recommend? Because you said you was trying to keep it nice and tight, so this way you could be able to have that family cheers type of everybody knows each other's name type of culture. How did you, or are you able to still maintain it? I would assume you can't maintain it. So how are you managing keeping the same type of culture as the company scales?
Great question. So the people that you bring on, you have to make sure your leaders, your field generals, have the same mentality and same belief system that your owners have or your leaders have. You got to have that at the general level. For us, everybody within Crimson Phoenix, for every 10 employees, they have their own internal Crimson Phoenix PM leader. And those folks are people that we have vetted, they've interviewed, they've gone through the process. I know, Randall, you yourself have been pitched to be a PM multiple times, but we just want to make sure that we build and grow. And while you're doing that, just develop good leaders that can carry that same message. Because you can't touch 400 people, but you can have 40 field generals that can help you touch those 400, and you can still maintain that same sense of feeling, that same sense of culture, and that same sense of like white glove service that we try to provide.
Man. So what's next? What's next for Crimson Phoenix? Like, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Talk to us about where do you see the company growing? Where are you going?
Man, good question. I think we're just going to continue to grow. We're going to start to win and bid some of our own contracts within the intelligence community and Department of Defense. And I think at some point in the future, my dream would be to go public and do an IPO. And that would be cool because you'd be able to, a lot of your longstanding employees, it'd be a great opportunity to give them shares in the company. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I think that'd be a cool dream to have to one day, become a publicly traded company.
Man,
Love it.
that's
I love it.
hey. Let me go ahead and get my niche in right now.
Oh, we got you, Randall. You're good, brother.
Yeah. So let's take it like paying service, right? We're doing this for the community. We're doing this for other people to be able to glean from federal contracts. What are things or advice that you have for people out there who are thinking about trying to jump into this industry? Like whether it's what things to avoid, how some of the key things they might want to take consideration when setting up their, I guess, is LLC. I don't know how that's even structured from a federal contracts perspective, but yeah, whatever takeaways you think were big nuggets that you want to be able to share with people.
Absolutely. I think there's 3 agencies that have really good like their intern program, so you get paid for it. It's a great way to get your clearance. That's the hardest thing about getting in this industry is, well, how do I get the clearance to do it? What came first, the chicken or the egg? That for us, and Randall, this is the clearance. It's hard to get a clearance, so where do you start? You probably got yours in the military. Well, the other way people can go is go apply for an internship with CIA, FBI, or NSA. One of those three have a great internship program. Also at Crimson Phoenix, we have something called the SPY program. It is a program where we bring in interns that can learn an expertise under somebody that's a specialty in their field, subject matter expert. So that could be instructional system design, software engineering, data science. You go through that 3 month program, and what we do at the end is we get you a top secret clearance. So if you make it through the 3 months, our gift in return is we'll get you cleared at the top secret level.
That's good. That's good. That's good. So, kind of explain what it is that Crimson Phoenix actually does. I know you talked about defense contracting, right? But that's kind of broad. So, if you could kind of help us to understand, like, I know some things you may not be able to share, but what are some of the things you all do on a day-to-day basis?
Absolutely. So let's use the customer out of the Langley. It's called the CIA. That's our largest customer. And what they have is they found it's more effective. The government, instead of hiring someone on as a full-time employee where you have to pay their benefits, they become really sanctioned in for the rest of their lives, they developed defense contracting. It's kind of a shortcut to get jobs done. So they'll have a project and they'll need a software engineer to come in and do some software engineering, system engineering. So we're doing like a lot of high level information technology work, and we're also doing a lot of intelligence, and then also a lot of like financial management as well. And we're doing that primarily for CIA, ODNI, NGA are three of our largest customers.
Listen, Crimson Phoenix, the movie. Y'all heard it first on the Forte podcast. You heard it first. I know it's gonna happen. I don't know when. Listen, just have the Forte podcast executive producer some way, somehow. But I'm telling you,
Man, brother.
man,
I know you're all going to do big things, man. You already are, man. So
man,
I got
brother.
all the
That's
faith in the Forte podcast, man. You guys are giving back to the
wow,
community.
man.
It's
Wow.
truly special, man. What you all are doing for real.
Yeah, man. Praise God, man.
I
Praise
appreciate
God.
it. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Amen, for real.
So we know about you growing and I just love the way that you have things, the system or your SOPs, right? Um so here's a question because we had someone recently on and he talked about how when he set up his company, he created a organizational chart. But him and his partner had they had multiple hats. They wore multiple hats, right? Until they was able to fill those departments. Um, when you started this company, you, Brad, and Phil, is that what you all did as well? Did you all create a organizational chart and say, hey, this is what Crimson Phoenix looked like on a grand scale? But we're going to wear these multiple hats until we're able to fill it. Is that something that you all, the same route that you all took as well?
It was, man. I'm a very detailed guy. I kind of operate this like Vince Lombardi or Bill Belichick. So anything that needed done was whiteboarded, and I put a name in the hat and different hats. At the time when we were first starting, there was literally 20 hats we had to wear, and in those hats you would have Brad, Phil, Tyler. And then eventually, as you grew, we brought in somebody to help run our leadership PMO program. His name is Gerald Walker. Great guy, known him for a long time. Now Gerald's filling that hat. Keep growing some more. Now we got Tiffany running the back office operations, another hat. So eventually, you start off wearing like 10 hats. And then if you grow the right way and you work your butt off, because I was, man, we were working 80 hours a week for the first 2 years, no questions. We had you wearing those hats. But eventually, you bring in people you trust that for me, I have an inability to micromanage. I just do your job. You know what your job is, get it done. Those are the people I need to be around because I can't micromanage. So it was important, and Phil has the same mentality, that we brought in people that could operate that way. And we felt secure that the hats that we're giving away, we knew were going to be safe in somebody else's hands. And we were very lucky that, and kudos to Brad, he brought in a lot of good consultants. And then through our network of relationships that we've had for a long time, we brought in people we trust, which is why I personally unless the person has a problem, I love working with family and friends because I'm a handshake guy. I want to work with somebody. I don't want to let them down. They don't want to let me down. And
Right.
that's why I personally like working with family and friends because, like my mom, she ain't going to let me down. She would rather die than not honor what she said she was going to do. And that's kind of the mentality of everybody that we brought in is I'm not letting you down. That's their motivation. That's their why, is not letting down their teammate.
That's good.
You got the Patriots over there. Y'all trying to get 7, 8 Super Bowls. Laser focus, no matter what. No what.
That's
I'm a
good.
Bills fan there, bro. That's the irony. I just like Bill Belichick's style.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
good.
that's
Brando,
cool.
I don't have anything else, man. Like listen,
Man,
I'm
he hit
ready to
everything.
rewatch
Yeah.
this, man, and really take these nuggets because he dropped a whole bunch of nuggets, man. And yeah, I hope our listeners were able to really glean from this interview because this was powerful. This was powerful.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Tyler, how can people how can people who are interested in applying to become part of Crimson Phoenix do so? And some of the character traits, you probably already kind of touched on that a little bit, but just reemphasize what kind of people
Yeah.
you want to come to the field. You want the Patriots laser focused type of people, I'm sure, but just quantify a little bit of what are you looking for or what the recruiting team is looking for, like your mom at 8 p.m. when she's sending out these feelers to people.
Yeah.
What is she looking for, and how do people apply if they're trying to work for Crimson Phoenix, or how do they partner if they want to be a sub under a prime contract that Crimson Phoenix wins?
Great question, man. So, internally, what we're looking for is just literally just two things: work ethic and attitude. Those are the two things. No matter what's going on, you can always control your work ethic and attitude. That's what we want internally. And then if you want to get on site and learn different jobs within the IC and DoD, go to our website at www.crimsonphoenix.com. All our job postings are there. And if you're looking for like a personal mentorship or anything, like maybe you're interested in getting a business in this industry, man, email me directly, tcrockett@crimsonphoenix.com, and just mention the Forte podcast, and I promise you, whether it's in our industry or another industry, man, I will help them do anything I can if they're trying to get a company set up. And that's the one thing. A lot of people don't even know, like, where do I start, man? How do I set up an LLC?
Yeah.
Like, how do I get an EIN? These are all things, man. I already help my friends and family, and like if they have kids they're trying to do it. I would love to do that for anyone on the Forte podcast that's interested for real. Hit me direct, and I'll do anything I can to help.
Yes, sir.
Man, I
Appreciate it, man.
appreciate it, man. The Forte community, Forteers, that's what we call them on here, Tyler.
The
Forteers, y'all hear that?
Forteers.
There's
That's
no
right.
excuses. Tyler's personally offering assistance. If you're trying to get into this federal contracting industry, you got no excuses. None.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, man. Tyler, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, your multiple hats. Hopefully they're a lot less now because you got a team behind you. For coming on here and blessing us with this information, blessing our viewers, our listeners with the
Absolutely.
information. Yeah.
Hey, man.
All right.
I'm humbled, man. God's going to bless you all, and you guys are just doing amazing things, man. So I'm just proud to be associated with you for real.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Tyler, we're gonna put you in the
Likewise.
green room right quick, man, and we're gonna come right back to you.
Amen, brother.
Yes, sir. Bro, and
Man,
another one, man.
that was another one. I know Tyler, but some of the stories he was telling about his childhood, I didn't know, and it helps me better understand of how grounded and down to earth he is. Right? I'm like, this dude is so cool to be a person who got a 400 personnel company. Right?
Right.
It's cool.
Right.
Like we just had a company picnic. Was it June 20? Yeah, the beginning of June, right? And
Okay.
he just going up to everybody, like, what's going on? Like, just casual, like he works in the company, like he's another like a contractor. But if you didn't know him, you would think that wouldn't know it. Like undercover boss. He was just rolling around. But he was so cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's good, man. This is what I love about our podcast is to be able to hear the stories, man.
Yeah.
To hear the stories, to get to the why, because when you get to the bottom and the foundation, when we ask those questions about upbringing and family, right? That's really what fuel a lot of people to do what they do and to do it with the grit and grind that they do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the fact that he was bold enough to ask for $1 million investment. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you. That's all I'm gonna say. Thank you. He didn't have to prove himself. Listen, I'm betting on me. I know what I'm capable of doing. I'm going to someone that I know have it, right? But he had proven himself in his relationship. And the guy was willing to not trust the business, but trust him. That was, man. It's like every week, man, I just get like, listen, this is helping us more and more. More and more.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're students of the game as we
We
hear
are.
more and more
We
stories from what the
are.
podcast
We
the guests
are.
are doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Then he said
Yeah.
he's willing for someone that, if you just mention the podcast, he gave you his personal email,
Yeah.
company email. Send him an email. If you are looking, he can help give you. Listen, people that have 400 employees don't do that. That's not normal.
Correct.
That's not normal.
Correct. So what I want to do, right? And I want to make sure, like, respect his time. If you book something with him, show up on time, show up early. If you're asking him a question, come with your due diligence as much as you possibly can through free YouTube videos or whatever the case may be, and come with clear, concise questions. Do not waste somebody's time, because then that's what puts you in a situation where you're not.
And it makes us look bad. You're gonna say, "Hey, Forte podcast, Randall and Dominic referred me." No, we did not. No, we did
do
not.
your part. Do your part.
Yeah, do your part.
I will help you with the rest of the way. Yeah.
Well, listen, y'all. We're excited. This is another fire episode, and here's another one. So, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you subscribe to the Forte podcast. Subscribe to the Forte community. Let me make sure I go ahead and put this graphic back up on the screen. We want to make sure that you all subscribe today. All right. We're so excited. And we got fire content every episode. Every episode. Bro, I'm going to tell you, man, this right here. Man.
Got you hyped. We got you hyped.
You got me hyped.
You trying to go find that one call right now. You go through your phone right now. Right.
Hey, man, come on, man. If you would have put Phil's phone number up, I would have called tonight.
All right, y'all.
We out of here, man. We good. Y'all go subscribe right now. Also, don't forget, go to Amazon.com, get a copy of my book, Wholesale to Wealth. Go to Amazon.com, get a copy of Wholesale to Wealth. Thank y'all so much, Joe. You as always supported and purchased your book. Get your copy today. We out of here, man.
Hey, bro, what's your forte?
What's your forte? Woo! I'm about to ask my $1 million. That's my forte. There we go. We out of here.